Democrats have lost this battle. Democrats are now making a U-turn about the whole humanitarian crisis that they said was manufactured by President Trump. I tried to cover this article yesterday. Unfortunately, I couldn't because I actually had to work. But we're going to be talking about it today. This is from The Hill, and the title reads, Democrats make a U-turn on calling border a manufactured crisis. Democrats have done a U-turn on their claim from earlier this year that President Trump's concern about illegal immigration at the southern border was a manufactured crisis, and I say that in quotes. Democrats now acknowledge there is a genuine humanitarian crisis and are preparing to pass legislation that will provide as much as $4.5 billion in federal aid to address the surge of migrants from Central America. A surging number of arrests, media reports of smugglers renting children to desperate migrants to help them gain entry into the United States, and stories of children dying in U.S. custody have changed the narrative. Earlier this year, Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer, a Democrat from New York, and Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat from California, accused Trump of exaggerating problems at the border to stroke fear among Americans and distract from the turmoil of his own administration. After Trump issued an Oval Office address to the nation on January 8th of this year, proclaiming the border situation a crisis of the heart and a crisis of the soul, Schumer and Pelosi gave a side-by-side rebuttal. This president used the backdrop of the Oval Office to manufacture a crisis, stroke fear, and divert attention from the turmoil in his administration. Schumer said in the midst of a 35-day government shutdown sparked by partisan disagreement over funding border barriers. Other Democrats made similar dismissals. The president has manufactured a humanitarian crisis. It is solely Trump's fault, not the Democrats. House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Benny Thompson tweeted, Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont, a leading contender for the Democratic presidential nomination, admonished Trump in a video statement saying, Mr. President, we do not need to create artificial crises. We have enough real ones. Dude, this is not an artificial one, dude. This is what he said in January, honestly. He said this was a fake one. Okay? He said it was a fake one. And now it turns out to be real. So what are they doing now? Apparently they're just blaming Trump. And that's gonna be a recurring theme on this article going forward. The Democrats, who were the ones who ignored the crisis, many, at least most of them, who ignored Trump's claims saying, this is an issue. We need to provide ICE more money so they can provide for these people while they're waiting for a trial to verify whether or not they qualify for asylum. What are the Democrats saying? No, it's made up. It's made up. And now we're gonna start seeing a lot of situations where the Democrats who claimed this was made up are not gonna be blaming Trump. Okay, let's go on. Trump subsequently backed down and agreed to reopen the government despite getting only $1.3 billion for border barriers, less than what the Democrats on the Senate Appropriations Committee voted for earlier this year. Democrats again balked before the Memorial Day recess when they refused to add Trump's request for $4.5 billion in emergency border funding to a disaster relief bill that the president signed into law 2 weeks ago. But the steady stream of heart-wrenching stories and eye-popping statistics has changed the political environment on Capitol Hill, and it now appears a bipartisan deal on the border is imminent. Polling shows that voters have grown more concerned about the migrant surge at the border since the government shut down over Trump's border wall earlier this year. A Washington Post ABC News poll published in late April found that more than a third of Americans saw illegal immigration as a crisis, and an increase in 11 percentage points compared to January. A Harvard CAPS Harris poll survey published in early May found that 56% of American voters said they believe there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at the border, while 44% said it was a manufactured political crisis. Schumer last week described the Democrats' plan to address the crisis in a floor speech, and two of its main elements mirrored a plan being pushed by Senator Lindsey Graham and the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Graham said Tuesday that he is in talks with Schumer. Sorry, I'm just very tired. Graham said Tuesday that he's in talks with Schumer to merge the proposals and expressed hope that reforms such as allowing migrants from Central America to apply for asylum from their own countries or from Mexico and to provide money for more immigration judges on the border, two ideas that Schumer has also endorsed, he could be added to the border supplemental bill. I haven't heard anyone say it's a manufactured crisis for quite some time. Senator Homeland Security Committee Chairman Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, observed in his Senate Democratic colleagues. It's true. They haven't been saying any of that now because now it's a real thing. So what are the people saying? It's a manufactured crisis. It's made up. They're gone. It's like they disappeared. Maybe because they knew they were lying and they didn't like Trump to the point where they're willing to let people die at the border because they just don't like the guy. That's just my opinion, though. Customs and Border Protection agents have seen a 135% increase in apprehensions on the southern border, including a 74% increase in unaccompanied minors and a 463% increase in family units during the first 6 months of fiscal year 2019 compared to 2018. Arrests at the border jumped to 144,000 in May, including 55,000 of children. It marked a 32% increase compared to April and the highest number of arrests in 1 month in more than a decade. At least 5 migrant children have died after being detained by Border Patrol agents, and this is mostly due to the lack of resources. In recent weeks, it's gotten clearer and clearer there's a dramatic humanitarian crisis again at the border, said Senator Christopher Coons, Democrat of Delaware, member of the Judiciary Committee. He blamed Trump's refusal to move forward on comprehensive immigration reform as contributing to the humanitarian crisis, but added there's a lot we could do jointly, and we should do jointly in Congress right now to address the border situation. Like I said, you will be seeing this a lot. Blame Trump. Whenever you mess up, whenever you fail, blame Trump. That should be like a new thing, honestly. You know, if you don't even have to be in politics. Let's say you're trying to get a nice job, a nice paying job. You don't get it because you're not qualified enough. Just blame Trump. Oh, I didn't get the job that I wanted because it's because of Trump. It should be a new thing, honestly. Whenever something goes wrong, just blame Trump. Every single time. I don't like the guy. I really don't. I think he can be a little bit of a I would say not really rude, but actually no, he is kind of rude. But you know, you have to admit the guy's honest. He can be honest. But that's the thing. You fail, you mess up, you create your own mistakes, you blame Trump. Democrats have done this. They're doing this right now. They said it was made up. The crisis at the border was made up. Now that it's real, they're saying, well, it's Trump's fault. Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. Keep saying that until you believe it, okay, guys? Alright, now let's move forward. Democrats such as Coons admit that the manufactured crisis was probably not the best phrase to use months ago, as it might now be seen as minimizing the human suffering at the border. Coons said colleagues who used that terminology were trying to argue that Trump's policies had made the situation worse. Now they're saying that, oh, we knew that it was real, but I think manufacture was not the right way to describe it. No, you knew what you were describing. You said it was fake. You can't just backtrack now. You can't. Honestly, you can't. At least show some. At least if you admit you messed up, at least I'll be able to respect you. But I mean, if you can't even admit your own mistakes, why bother respecting you? Regardless of your political affiliation. There's one thing that I respect a lot of people. I respect a lot of people, honestly. But the people that I hold more respect for are people that are willing to acknowledge their mistakes, acknowledge they messed up, even though I might not like them. Trust me, I have a lot of coworkers like that. They say they mess up and they blame it. Trust me, I had to deal with this issue. I dealt with this issue on Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday. I dealt with this issue on Saturday. I had a coworker who always blamed me for their own mistakes. So I'm not going to respect that person. But I digress. Let's go back to the article. So let's keep going. The phrase manufactured crisis could be misunderstood as suggesting it's not a real crisis. It wasn't a suggestion, dude. You meant it. You literally said it's not real. It is a real crisis. There are people actually suffering, which they are. They are suffering. There are children dying. They are. There are families in distress. They are. It is a crisis, Kuhn said. The phrase manufactured, I think, was used by some to emphasize the president's role in making it worse. I don't see how he made it worse. I really don't. When he was the one to say, this is a problem, we need to address it before it becomes a bigger problem. How is that the president's fault? It's like saying, it's like blaming, it's like blaming a celebrity, on bullying when they made a campaign saying we need to stop bullying. The celebrity made the campaign saying bullying is increasing in the last decade. We need to stop it. And then blaming the celebrity who actually tried to bring attention to the problem and saying it's their fault because they made the situation worse. It doesn't make sense. If Trump brought attention to the problem in the first place, how did he make it worse? I'm just curious. I just want to know what kind of logic that is. As Tuesday, if it was right to call the border situation a manufactured crisis earlier this year, Schumer, you know the guy who said it was a manufactured crisis along with Nancy Pelosi, Schumer blamed Trump for making conditions much worse. Like I said, you'll be seeing this a lot in the article. All goes wrong, blame Trump. Yeah, pretty much what it is. The bottom line is very simple. The border situation has been made worse and worse and worse by President Trump. I don't see how. But I'm sorry, Schumer. Okay, and I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna digress a little bit here, so I can give you a little lesson on how our government works. Okay, this is how it works. Congress makes the laws. The president enforces the laws. The Supreme Court determines whether those laws are constitutional. Exactly how it works. You want to know who controls government spending? You want to know what branch funds government agencies? Congress. Congress, the House, the Senate, they fund agencies such as ICE. They fund agencies such as, I don't know, maybe the IRS. You know, Congress is the one who controls the spending. So I don't see how Trump has made this worse, knowing that he cannot, and I'll tell you right now, he cannot give money to ICE because he does not control the country's spending. That's Congress, okay? And I don't care, and I don't care what your political stance is, but again, I'm very center right. I'm more of a centrist with a little bit of conservative, a little bit more conservative ideologies. But I don't like Trump and his behavior. But I at least respect the guy for at least acknowledging that there's a problem at the border, and at least respect the guy for defending his country like every president should. I don't care if he's a Democrat. I don't care if he's a Republican. I don't care if she's a Democrat or Republican. I don't care if they're a Green Party or Libertarian. I don't care. But your job as a president, and even when you are sworn into office on January 20th, when you're sworn into office, you make and you swear that you will defend this country regardless of who it is. People are coming to the border. Sure, you're not saying that these people are declaring war on us. No. I'm not saying they're trying to damage, they're not trying to kill our citizens. Of course not. They're not. I'm not saying that. But some people are human traffickers. Some people are individuals who are trying to smuggle drugs. And they're bringing, to some degree, they're bringing harm to the people of the U.S. And don't you think that's wrong for something like that to happen? Don't you think that's wrong? Are you okay with letting a woman and a child, because most of them it's just women and children who are mostly trafficked. So you're saying that you're okay with letting a woman and a child be trafficked through the border because you are very sentimental? Are you willing to let that happen? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. I'm pretty sure you're not. But like I said, Trump does not control spending. He can't give money to ICE. So I think that at this point it's Congress's fault mostly the Democrats, because they have a majority in the House, and the House and the Senate need to agree on something in order for that to happen. And when you have a split Congress, you create gridlock. You really do. Democrats, Schumer argued that Trump's policy removing young children from their parents' intention is inhumane, which it is. But like I said, we don't know if they really are their children. Some people, like it even says, people are literally freaking renting their children, so they can get across the border. Some children are not with their parents. They're not. They're probably not their parents. I would say some of them are, probably most of them, but not all of them. And called the president's varying strategies for slowing the migrant surge, such as calling for a border wall and threatening tariffs against Mexico, erratic. I'm sorry, but Mexico also needs to do its part. I'm pretty sure the president is not dumb enough to let their country, which again, it's mostly the government can't even take care of the people anymore. The people can barely get by, with the current situation that's going on in Mexico with the cartels and the drugs, stuff like that. They can barely support themselves. Look at Tijuana. When the Honduras caravan came to Tijuana, they were running out of food. Even the mayor said, "We need to do something about this. Our country's not doing anything." The mayor even said, "We need more money. We need more resources." But the government said, "Nope." But I think Peña Nieto decided. I think that was Peña Nieto at that time. He decided to mess it up. But I think that I don't care what country you are. I don't care if you're Canada, Mexico, the U.S., Honduras. I don't care if you're Brazil. I think that every country has rights to its borders, and I think Mexico is doing the right thing here by at least protecting the well-being of its own people first. Because I can tell you right now, with what logic can you say, even though I cannot provide for my own people, my own family, regardless, just make that more local. If you cannot provide for your own family, how can you provide for your neighbor? How can you provide and help your your neighbors or your friends? No. If you cannot provide for yourself, then I don't know how you'll be able to provide for someone else. Okay? Democrats not concede, however. Sorry. Now he no, sorry, I skipped one. Now he says send 1 million immigrants back home. Every day he has a new policy, none of them which have never been followed through on, he said. Because Trump likes to troll people. He likes to bluff. It's called a bluff, Chuck. Okay, it's called a bluff. He's not going to go through with this. ICE doesn't have the resources to handle what's going on at the border right now. So how are they going to handle deporting a lot of millions of illegal immigrants to the border? Outside of the U.S. He's bluffing, dude. He's not gonna split ISIS forces, which are already stretched thin as it is. He's not gonna split them up in order to deport all the illegal immigrants that are over here. The dude's bluffing. Okay. Democrats not concede, however. They may need to give ground on improving border security, but claim that Republicans should also be more open to providing assistance to Central American counties. I think countries, maybe counties, I don't know. Improving the conditions of immigrants detained and giving them a chance to pursue legal asylum claims. Senator Gary E. Peters, Michigan, the ranking Democrat on the Homeland Security Committee, said conditions at the border have deteriorated dramatically since Democrats accused Trump of using the Oval Office to stroke fears about a manufactured crisis. Gary Peters, man, you're awesome. You're at least the only one to admit that the Democrats were at fault here. And therefore, Gary Peters, I respect you for that. We might not agree on everything, even though I do not know you as much. I will do my research after this. But I respect you, my dude. You at least have the courage to admit you messed up. And I mean it, and I know that's not sarcastic, but I mean it. I really do mean it. I respect this guy now. He at least has the courage to admit he messed up. And at least he's saying the Democrats messed up. He's basically admitting their faults on behalf of the Democrats, but I still don't think it's fair because Schumer doesn't want to take the blame. You know, it's actually evolved. We've seen an escalation just in the last couple of months. We have seen a big increase in the last 2.5 months from Central America, and it's evolved over time, he said. Alright, so like I said, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican, but I think pretty sure we can all agree that when people are dying at the border, it's a bad thing. And I'm actually pretty glad that the Democrats are actually admitting that this is a crisis now, even though they do not want to admit that they're the ones who said that, that it was a made-up crisis. But the reason why I think that this is going, that's right now, I don't think they're doing this out of the kindness of their hearts, which some of them might be, I might be wrong, but there's a lot of things that have been going on recently with the Democrats that, that might make them, do something like this. One is because we're 1 year away from the 2020 elections. Not only the president will be up for election, but a lot of senators and a lot of, Congress people, a lot of representatives will be up for election. Okay, so I don't think they wanna look bad to the constituents when they say, well, this is not a real crisis, even though when a third of the country says it is a real problem. And another reason why is because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made a lot of remarks yesterday. I think 2 days ago, actually, around there. But I made a previous video about it anyways. But anyways, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that ISIS facilities are just like concentration camps at the border. You really think that's not going to piss off a lot of people? Whether they're Democrat or Republican? You really think that's going to piss them off? I'm pretty sure they are. Because, again, she literally downplayed the Holocaust. And she gets a lot of news coverage. And the media is actually doubling down with her. They're saying, well, they are concentration camps. So I was like, no, they're not. They're not. But that's just my opinion. I really think that the reason why a big issue is because when you have a Democrat of your own party making such outrageous remarks, it's going to make your party look bad. It really will. But that's just my opinion. That's going to conclude the video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that there's a good thing the Democrats are finally, admitting, not really admitting, but they're finally acknowledging a crisis at the border? Do you agree with the Democrats' constant blame on Trump, even though they're the ones who said that this was a made-up crisis? What about Senator Gary Peters? Do you at least respect the guy now, knowing that at least he's the one of the few that actually acknowledges that it was not Trump's fault, but it was the Democrats' fault? Because they're the ones who downplayed this? Share the video, like the video if you like the video. Subscribe, so hit the notifications bell right after you subscribe. That way you never miss an upload. I know this is a day-old article. I wish I could have covered it yesterday. I wanted to, but I couldn't. But I hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Alright, until next time, you guys, have a good rest of the day.